Wilson Morales from Black Women TV talking to Amanda Warren, who's got a new series coming up, The Night Agent Season 2. How are you?
I'm very well, Wilson, and as always, it's really great to see you.
Hey, listen, I always say you're one of those actresses that find a job, that keep a job. You know what I'm saying? You're always on. Every six
Yeah.
months or so, we'll find you somewhere. Obviously, some things last, some things don't, but you know how to pick yourself up. Here you are playing Kathleen Weaver. How best can you describe your character?
There's a new sheriff in town, and it's Katherine Weaver. She shoots straight from the hip. She is no nonsense. You mess around, you play, you find out with a person like her. So, um, Katherine's one of these top tier executive level government officials who really has a keen interest in the process and how that works. They refer a lot to night agents as people who need to be handled, and
Mhm.
a lot of people categorize Catherine's job description as a handler for night agents. And what she ideally wants is people. She ideally wants people who are out in the field who know what they're doing, whom she can trust. And with that, she doesn't have to handle anyone. So we come to a point in time where Katherine is, in her mind, burdened with Peter because he's been thrown into this. We pick up from season one, where throughout its inception of the series, he is thrown into night agent duties and responsibilities by looking after two retired agents that have been murdered of Rose Larkin's family. So he doesn't really know the ins and outs of how things work. And she's a very by the books person when it comes to training and what you're doing because she knows what can be at stake. He colors outside of the lines, and she just doesn't like that at all. And that's where all the delicious, very yummy conflict begins. And then we really start to, as a series, start cooking with gas and start igniting some stuff.
And because you're always working, I can only assume you don't get a chance to watch every show that's out there, So let's not, kid ourselves. Did you I know it's good at giving you a recap, but did you watch this initial run or did you have to play catch up and watch it from just to get an idea of like where you're coming in from?
Well, I did. I binged season one. Sean Ryan, who's created and show runs The Night Agent, he wanted to speak with me about Katherine. And when it's a situation like that where you're not reading you for the role, you are discussing it and figuring out how it can work as a matchup. I think it's really important to have everything that you need. I thought, having season one would be great. But what Sean Ryan did in addition to that was he, kind of gifted me, if you will, because the first season was so popular and so epic and record breaking, the first five scripts of the second season. And the sense that you get in season one is that real, clickbait incarnate with this show. There's a cliffhanger at the end of every show, and you just have to know what's going to happen with Peter, with Rose, with Peter
Yeah.
and Rose. And so at the end of episode 5, and your viewers, listeners, what have you, will understand this once they start watching the show next week, January 23rd, that after that episode, you just have to know what happens. So, Wilson, I'm always wanting to be employed, but it was one of those moments where it's just like, I just want to know what happens for 6 through 10. So let me go on ahead and get this role of Katherine so I can figure out what happens. But all kidding
200
aside,
pages.
yeah, but all kidding aside, it just felt like Sean and his writers' room really elevated the second season. And after, of course, seeing the numbers, because I it's hard to miss with everything in the trades and how it was celebrated during dual strikes. You're just at your computer, like, what's going on? And it's just like,
Hmm.
this show is, becoming epic. So you just want to meet the moment. You want to show up. You want to be prepared. These are two young, very gifted, focused actors who just wanted to tell a story and stay employed as actors. And they get this and they've built this. And you just want to make sure that that sustains itself with what you contribute to the story. And the story is always first. It is prime, and everyone on this production, cast, crew, creative, got over themselves in order to tell this story.
What goes into saying yes to taking on this project? Is it obviously, you already knew coming into it, like, oh, it already had broken records on Netflix. Is it the story? Is it the character you're playing, or the time frame in which you can do it?
It's everything, but it's always story. It's always story, Wilson. And after that, it becomes, well, who am I playing with? And am I going to continue my pursuit of staying in good company? People who are focused, people who are kind, a cruelty-free environment, if you will. But story really is always first. I think, the logistics of everything becomes kind of, business stuff with other members of within the realm of my world, but that's always kind of worked out on its own. But story is what gets me going and what really keeps my passion lit, and if it's ever dimmed down, ignites me. So I really try not to worry about anything much after that, with the exception of whom I'm in company with, as far as easygoing, professional, admiration, all those sorts of things like you would want or anyone would want in their workspace and environment.
Obviously on season one and definitely coming back, how did they make you feel welcome as the newbie?
Oh man, well, I was welcomed when we did some footage. We matched some other locations for in Bangkok for other places around the world. So
Bangkok.
one of my scenes, I had to fly to Bangkok for to film, not to give anything away. So I find, and that was my very first time on the continent, Wilson. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's a beautiful, beautiful land, and Thailand was really extraordinary. The people, the culture, the weather. I always find that when we're kind of thrust off as a cast and crew to go film somewhere, especially like that, that we kind of have that natural way of sticking together and kind of, getting that social glue really going and sticking together through, the cast dinner and things like that. So as much as we were ships passing in the night once the filming began, we were connected by staying in the same hotel or linking up for dinners, or I even went on set. I'm somebody who likes to see what happens behind the camera as well. So during my days off, I would just go and and watch and just get to know the other crew members, who were locals, who were fantastic, and then those who I could begin my collegial relationship with, and continue on in New York for the remainder of the season. So I find that when we traveled together, it was really beneficial for us to just kind of be thrown into the fire of getting to know each other and get this collegial relationship strong and going.
When you do a show like this, you've worked on other projects, supporting. What's your takeaway from doing this project, skill set wise, as an actress, that you can use to whatever project you do next?
What's interesting about Katherine, because a lot of people, and I take it, I embrace it. I embrace it. A lot of people have recognized my body of work, and have highlighted all of the characters who've embodied a lot of strength and a lot of independence. And I find with Katherine, because she has been where Peter's been. She started out as a night agent. They all go through the ranks. And someone who's been in the field like that in very life or death, lethal situations, is lethal themselves and dangerous themselves. And I've noticed people who are in special operations, armed forces, they have a different perspective of life, Wilson, where they don't have a lot to prove because they know what's out there in the world. We're all very comfortable in our insulated homes, you know, our blankets and things like that. But these men and women go out into the field and fight for our country in our imaginary world, but also in our real world, right? So they kind of keep us going, but with that mindset comes a level of intensity that I don't think a lot of us can truly comprehend until we're in that situation. And I think with a woman like Katherine, she doesn't need to move the needle very much to prove herself. And so there's this way that she speaks that is not exactly monotone, but is this is the way it is, and this is the way it will be. And then all of the exposition. There's a lot of exposition that's been gifted to me in my dialogue, and it's extensive. But it's imperative and vital for the audience to keep up with the storyline. And so with that, I have found how essential it is to use your words, almost like going back to Yale or NYU and following the line of Shakespeare, or trying to have the other characters within my scene pick up what I'm laying down in a subtextual sense, like Anton Chekhov's works. So it was really interesting to use my vocalizing, my speech, all of those things, and remembering what my master teacher back at Stella Adler while I was at uni at NYU Tisch, Frank Langella, great actor. He said, we need three things. We need to know what we're saying, know what it means, and mean it when you say it. There was also another teacher in my life at Yale. He was my acting chair, a wonderful man by the name of Ron Van Loo. You've heard him in plenty of speeches being thanked, and rightfully so. But there's something that you always have to remember also, which is put your explanation into action. So when there aren't a lot of physical moments, put it into action by using your words. So it's like a real nice challenge that I don't think I get every day because, she just doesn't have a lot to prove. And some women in certain circumstances think that they do in certain storylines because of what the circumstances are in their world. But in her world, it's all good. But if you mess around, you're going to find out with her. And we might see a couple of those moments where people really try it with her. And that's when it gets entertaining. So entertaining. She's so good.
As you're talking, I'm saying to myself, she's such a, as you're talking, I'm saying to myself, she plays such strong characters that I wonder if people are intimidating casting notes. You mostly play people. They're not going to cast her to play a weak well.
Well, listen, as far as logistics go, when I was at Yale, speaking of Ron Van Loo, he was somebody who told us that you don't know, which is why I should tell you. I need to get that out of my vocabulary. But he said, you're going to do in this business what your spirit kind of embodies, what you give off. And I think that's fair. Listen, not everybody's going to know you as a human being the way your mother, your father, if you have siblings, your closest friends. Nobody's going to, say, oh, but she's really funny through most of my body of work. But I do have the embarrassment of riches where I have worked with a Dan Gilroy or a Reginald Holdsland, Dan Gilroy for Roman Israel Esquire, or Reg, who directed me in Disney Plus's Safety, where I played a mother in recovery, or The Burial with Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones, where I was Fox's wife, and that was good and lighthearted, or The Mountaintop, written by the comparable Katori Hall, whom we know from screen from her show that she runs and creates called P Valley. That woman, Kamei, that she wrote that was very much inspired, at least by her mom in real life. That was the role of a lifetime. That was a two-hander where I got to do all of the things that I believe are in my arsenal, in my canon, however you want to put it. So there are plenty of walks to take. Just because I haven't done it in front of millions of people on the big screen or on television doesn't necessarily mean that I haven't done it. So there's always time. As long as I can go like this and I'm not in a coffin, there's always another day, another chance. All the opportunities are there.
Well said. Well, Amanda, I want to say congrats. It's always good seeing you on any project. I'm always here to support. Hey, it's coming out the 23rd. I'm
Yes,
sure
sir.
people are going to be being watching it all of the day. Like see where it goes.
They've been
Make
waiting
sure
over a
you're
year.
live
They've
because
been waiting
Vera
over.
Rose. Just make sure Kathleen sticks around. If man is good enough, hopefully, they're gonna keep her around and she could be part of. There's a season 3. It's like, hey, listen, let's make sure it happens. We'll have fun watching it. I'm sure I'll see you in other projects down the road. We'll
God
talk
bless
down the
you.
road. Wherever you're at, take care. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Talk soon. Bye.